That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Heart Eyes, the third feature directed by Josh Ruben, which Screen Gems is releasing February 7th, 2025.
Do you know this director's other films?
Yeah, we reviewed his first film, Scare Me.
Okay.
He also directed Werewolves Within, which is adapted from a game and was a film I didn't care for. I did like Scare Me, and we did not review that because you did not watch it.
What is Heart Eyes about? For the past several years, the Heart Eyes killer has wreaked havoc on Valentine's Day by stalking and murdering romantic couples. This Valentine's Day, no couple is safe. What is your pull quote?
Ruben reanimates slasher cliches via a charming rom-com jumpstart with Heart Eyes, a genre hybrid that's bloody fun. These eyes, they're dying. And of course, that is a silly reference to the Guess Who.
Mine. Heart Eyes totally delivers as a rom-com slasher. Very simple. I did like this movie.
I did too. I was very surprised. A February release of something. You know, I was expecting something more along the lines of My Bloody Valentine, either version, neither of which I care for.
It really does work so well as a rom-com and as a slasher, which is fun because separately, oftentimes movies can't even accomplish the one.
That's true.
So it's quite the feat that this one kind of blends them perfectly.
Well, why slashers usually feel mindless is there's no character development. So unless you like torture porn, it's kind of like you don't care about the characters. So it's actually kind of Christopher Landon, who I believe has a certain formula that works for him, having written Happy Death Day to You and Freaky, etc. I think has landed on that. You have to care about the characters and then other weird shit can happen.
I really enjoyed the two leads.
I did too.
But the story is pretty simple. Obviously, there's going to be a spoiler, but the film opens with a couple in Seattle trying to set up a proposal video that they want to film for like social media. Mm-hmm. And there's a notable song playing.
Yes, Lone Star's Amaze, which I'm sure they paid a pretty penny for and reminds me of times I don't want to be reminded of.
And these two obnoxious people are killed by the Heart Eyes killer. Mm-hmm. So we're told on the news that this killing happened in Seattle, but in previous years on Valentine's Day, the Heart Eyes killer struck like Boston and Philly. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like this annual tradition. And everyone in Seattle is nervous. Okay, so the main character is this young lady named Allie.
Mm-hmm. Played by Olivia Holt.
She works in advertising. And we see that her campaign has not gone over well because she works for this company that makes rings. Mm-hmm. And her ad is called Till Death Do Us Part. And it's about famous couples who die, like Romeo and Juliet.
Bonnie and Clyde, Jack and Rose from Titanic, although one of them lives.
So the social media response is very negative because it also ties in with the Heart Eyes killings. So her boss, played by a very funny
Michaela Watkins,
tells her, I'm bringing someone else in to help you save this. And it happens to be Valentine's Day. But the person who the boss brings in is someone who we had met earlier, and so did Allie, in this meet cute at a coffee shop, which we can get to. Mm-hmm. But that person is played by Mason Gooding. Mm-hmm. The character's name is Jay.
Yes. Okay,
so Jay is like this notable advertising person. And so he's supposed to come in and fix this in like...
He has 12 hours or less.
Or less. So none of that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But he invites Allie to dinner on Valentine's Day to talk about a pitch, but really it becomes more like a romantic thing. She's not into it. She storms out. She ends up bumping into her ex, which is a thing. And so Allie and Jay end up getting in the same Uber
after sharing a passionate kiss,
which is not meant to be real, but it is important. So they go back to her place to drop her off. She forgot her keys. While she's there, they get attacked by the Heart Eyes killer. Mm-hmm. And now they're on the run. They end up getting saved by police and taken into the police station. And the two detectives who are working on this Heart Eyes case in Seattle are played by Devon, Sawa and Jordana Brewster.
Yes. Shaw and Hobbs. Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, which is a gag.
Respectively. Also because Jordana Brewster herself is part of that ramshackle universe.
Oh, sure. But the Heart Eyes killer shows up at the police station. So then the second half of the movie is Allie and Jay like trying to get away from the Hard Eyes Killer. They end up at a drive-in.
Where they're playing His Girl Friday. Lovely film.
And the Hard Eyes Killer attacks them, but they are able to kill the killer. And the killer is unmasked. And it's a person who, as the audience, we don't recognize.
Right.
It's kind of hard to even determine this person's gender. So it's a mystery. So I guess all's well that ends well. Allie goes to the airport. She can't find Jay. Her phone starts ringing. It's the Hard Eyes Killer telling her, come to this cathedral. I have your little boy toy. She goes, and we find out who the killer is. And it's actually 3 people, a throuple. One was killed at the drive-in. We don't know who that person is. But the other 2 are, spoiler, Jordana Brewster. And then another character we had met at the police station when Hard Eyes Killer attacked, the IT guy. And all we learn is that they do this as like a kink. It's like a fetish. Of course, those 2 get killed. And then we flash forward a year and we see that Allie and Jay are now a couple. And it's Allie's last day at work because she's going back to medical school. Because we had learned earlier that she's a med school dropout because she was squeamish of blood. The end.
She was hemophobic. Well, there's actually one more scene.
What is that?
At the drive-thru.
Oh, yes.
Which is sweet.
It is.
Yeah, because he gives her his key a key asking her to live together, and she says, no, I want you. And she proposes marriage to him.
Yes.
And I was just very curious about what was at the drive-thru also.
But they don't show the
They
movie.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Okay, the film has a strong start because the couple getting married, they're just obnoxious. And they do the proposal, and then the guy's phone rings, and it's the photographer saying, hey, I didn't get the shot. The sun was in the way or something. So the couple gets all mad. They redo it. But then we see that the photographer was killed by the Hard Eyes Killer. Then the guy gets killed. Then we get this chase sequence where the lady gets killed. And that's when we're introduced to the detectives investigating in Seattle. Devon, Sawa, and Jordana Brewster. I have to say, my only real reference of Jordana Brewster is the Fast and Furious movies, which I don't enjoy her in.
You've seen her in The Faculty.
I don't remember her in that.
She's got the line about Sigourney Weaver in it, but...
But I did enjoy her in this.
Yeah, I did too. Sometimes I find her kind of alarming, but she had some energy.
She seemed like she was having fun.
She seemed like she was having, yes.
And then I do like Devon Sawa.
Yes, actually everybody in this seemed like they were having fun.
Then we get a montage of like the Hard Eyes Killer news coverage, who they're calling HEK. And I thought that was fun because it's also overly dramatic.
The BTK, the HEK.
Okay. Then we get this meet cute between Allie and Jay. So we see when we're first introduced to Allie, she's sitting in a coffee shop and she's all anxious. And then her coworker / friend shows up. And we realize that the reason Allie is anxious is because they're having like a last minute emergency meeting. And it's regarding Allie's ad, the Till Death Do Us Part ad. So of course she thinks she's in trouble. She goes to pick up her coffee order and it's super specific. It's like an Americana with crushed ice.
Two
like,
things of honey
and like
blah,
some
blah,
oat
blah.
milk. Like it's super specific. So then when her drink gets called, we see Mason Gooding grab it. And she's like, oh no, this can't be yours. My order's so specific. They both read off the same thing. I thought the barista was funny because he's like, actually.
That's a really common order. Get out of the way.
And so then they fumble through it. They hit each other in the head. He ends up getting a bloody nose. So I thought that it kind of reminded me of the...
Anyone But You.
Their meet cute in that
Coffee
movie.
Cute. Yes. This is a better film than that. But
Yes, for sure. So then we get to Allie's work. And I have my worst hair nominee, the character of Crystal, played by
Michaela Watkins.
who is very funny. She's the owner of this company. She's speaking with this like Texas Hold'em accent. It's very good, but her wig is...
I feel like that's on purpose.
I don't think so. I don't think it's meant to be a wig.
Like Cruella de Vil of 2020.
It's not her hair color that's bothering me because it's very Stacey London from What Not to Wear.
Sure.
It's the install. Like it's just not well installed. It looks crazy, but the actor and that character are very funny.
Ruben clearly likes her. She's also in Werewolves Within, but you've seen her in so many things.
We watch the ad, and it is funny because it's like, who thought this was a good idea? And after it ends, Allie tells her boss, Crystal, you approved it. But then Crystal, it seems like her assistant, this gay guy, he's really funny too because he's reading some of the social media response.
Well, Michaela Watkins is castigating her whole team. Like, why didn't anybody tell me that on Valentine's Day there's this serial killer killing people? Where you been?
Yeah, where have you been? Okay, so Mason Gooding, very handsome. He
Yes.
reminds me of his dad, like his facial expressions. I think I really liked his character, but I think it's more the writing of the character is charming.
Sure.
I don't know how much charm he's bringing to it, but it's fine. I really liked him in this movie.
I think he has chemistry with Olivia Holt, and I think they play well off each other, which is also very helpful.
I think she's the stronger one.
I agree.
And I really liked her.
And again, as I said, I think Christopher Landon is kind of better at writing plucky young women. But you're familiar with Miss Holt as well as the character Pam in Totally Killer.
Oh.
Remember when Kiernan Shipka goes back to the 80s?
I remember that movie.
And her mom was a bitch in high school. She's the
I
mean
kept trying
girl.
to think who she reminds me of, and all I could come up with is Crystal Envy from season 17 of Drag Race.
I could see that. Mm-hmm.
So they go to dinner. Well, first of all, Jay, Mason Gooding's character, we're introduced to him saying he's this ad guru. We only have him for one evening.
Yeah, I don't know how that makes sense.
That whole thing does not make sense because he immediately bumps into Allie in the bathroom because they have unisex bathrooms. And he tells her, well, I have to do yoga. So you're only here for 12 hours, including sleeping and flying back home. And you need to go do yoga. But he says, let's have dinner. Do you have Valentine's Day plans? No. Great. I'll meet you at this restaurant at 8 o'clock or whatever. So they get there. But before that, we get this montage of Allie and her homegirl / coworker going shopping for an outfit, which was okay. I didn't think the outfits were cute that she tried on, and what she eventually wore looked like something she probably already owned, like this kind of work outfit. But I did think the friend / coworker is really funny because her plot line is that she has a sugar daddy.
Well, apparently that's an impolite term now. It's sponsored.
She called him, her sponsor.
Sure.
But Allie goes to this fancy restaurant. Jay shows up late, and then immediately he doesn't want to talk about work. He's trying to talk about Allie's romantic life. I thought that was all kind of weird. So, and I think Allie does too because she gets upset and leaves the restaurant.
Well, I don't understand why the screenplay is putting that additional time constraint of him he has to leave in the morning for his best friend's wedding. I don't know why we need that. Why wouldn't he have been hired?
That's a good point, yeah.
Why wouldn't he have been hired for? I know that's going to be, it is Valentine's Day. The campaign has dropped. They want to salvage it, but I just don't understand.
I think, it's supposed to be a silly slasher film, but I do think the whole plot point of Jay's character only having this one evening felt really weird because then we also see that.
Well, then it casts aspersions on what actually happens in advertising. You can often just cut and paste all this shit together and there's an ad. I don't know.
But Allie gets upset, leaves the restaurant, and she bumps into her ex, which we already know she's kind of obsessed with. She's stalking him on social media. He has a new girlfriend. I was also kind of disappointed that when we meet, because Allie seems like a really cool person. When we meet her ex and his new lady, they both seem like trash.
They're milquetoast for sure.
And that's always weird. How did Allie end up with this D-bag?
Well, we're told that she left him.
That's true. So when she sees that her ex and his new girlfriend are also walking into the restaurant, she tries to save face by kissing Jay. So that's why they have a kissing scene. And the kissing scene is important because we find out at the end that the hard-eyes killer was originally going to kill her ex-boyfriend and his new girlfriend. But when they saw her and Jay kiss, they saw this undeniable chemistry and thought we need to kill them.
This kiss indeed, Faith Hill. But what's funny about that scene is we learn that her ex had an original double date reservation with a couple that was murdered earlier, and they're still going out.
I know, which just makes her ex seem like such trash.
Well, she makes a comment about he's British, about how the British show no emotions.
Okay, so when they get back to Allie's apartment, before they're attacked by the hard-eyes killer, I thought that was a really funny scene because she's trying to act like, oh, my housekeeper, she quit on me suddenly because she won the lottery. And her apartment's so messy.
I think that's what's funny about young single women is they're not necessarily more clean than their male counterparts. But she also has a sex toy on display in the bedroom because that's the only place he can sit because her couch is full of clothes.
I thought the funniest line, well, the sex toy's cute, but I thought the funniest moment in the apartment before they're attacked is she has a picture, a framed picture of her in like some sort of Pokemon outfit.
Pikachu.
Or something. And Jay's like, oh,
Was this Halloween?
Well, he goes, oh, was this Halloween? She's like, no, it was Tuesday. And don't look at it. She's upset that he's looking at it. And she's like, well...
I didn't know I was going to have company.
And he's like, ever? Like, your apartment is a wreck. Like, I thought they were very cute together.
And that, all of those beats, I think that's why the writing for this kind of scenario is good because everything is giving us some information that is seems authentic, but also is later utilized. I think the beats of all of this are pretty good because she's left her keys because she had gone shopping in a dressing room. He breaks a window, cuts his hand, has to go up to her bedroom. We learn that she was in medical school, etc. All of that exchange of information is...
So they're attacked in her apartment. The really friendly Uber driver gets killed. There's some pretty shocking kills, but they make their way to like a amusement park or carnival, and that's when they're saved by Hobbs and Shaw. And I thought a really funny line is Allie's being she's getting aggressive because Jay gets arrested by the police for suspicion because Jay was knocked out as he was trying to escape by the hard-eyes killer. And then when Hobbs and Shaw found him, he had the hard-eyes killer mask next to him. So they arrest him thinking he's the killer. And Allie's like, that's not possible. And I don't know that I love that plot point because as the audience, we also know he's not the hard-eyes killer because we saw him be attacked by the hard-eyes killer. But
then we don't know. We're used to like the Scream franchise and all those stupid dippity-doo rules that...
But as Allie's kind of getting upset that they're taking away Jay, one of the cops goes, oh, we have an HWW. And they go, what is that? A hysterical white woman.
Which is because she wasn't being hysterical. Also, before they get to the police station, there's a scene on a merry-go-round, which I'm assuming is a reference to Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train with that very famous merry-go-round scene. They get to the police station and it's basically abandoned. There's no one there. And we learn from this IT guy that we meet who comes up again later is that everybody's out celebrating because they believe they caught
the hard-eyes killer.
And that reminded me of Halloween 2 where Michael Myers is killing everybody in the hospital. It seems like derelict.
So they go back to the police station. The hard-eyes killer shows up. There's a really funny lady working the front desk of the police station. I like that character. But poor Devon Sawa gets killed in the police station. And then Allie is able to save Jay from the hard-eyes killer by shooting through because, he's in like an interrogation room. But we've learned that Allie is a terrible shot.
I mean, unless you're not
She unloads a pistol on the killer, like, I don't know how many bullets are in it, like 10, 12 bullets, and doesn't even come close to hitting the killer.
I mean, if you're not used, you have to practice to get good.
Didn't Mason Gooding as Jay, because he's also wearing a suit because he was going to a nice dinner, he was giving me like sexy Barack Obama. I mean, people think Barack Obama's sexy too, but like young Barack Obama.
Yeah, for sure.
I really like him on screen.
I did too. I mean, we've seen him in stuff also. He's the boyfriend that with the early demise and Fall, if you remember that. But yeah, he does. It's kind of like, you were talking about how his mouth moves. It's like watching Henry Fonda and Jane Fonda, who also talk very similarly, but yeah.
I thought the drive-in scene was really cute. It's in the trailer, but we see the hard-eyes killer attack a couple having sex in the back of a van. That was pretty gruesome. There's a point where Allie and Jay have to defend themselves by removing I think it's a tire iron that they kill those people in the, like, shove it through their mouths, and Allie like gets sick and vomits all over them.
And the dead HEK.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. Then we get back to Allie's friend and coworker trying to explain to her that she should go see Jay at the airport, and she does so by just basically naming a bunch of movie titles. I thought that was really cute.
Mostly starring Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
And then when we learned, okay, the HEK is not dead. There are more cohorts of this killer, and she has to go meet him at this church. I was thinking, oh, it's going to be some kind of, because the plot line about love and couples, it's like in Sea of Love, where we learn Ellen Barkin's not the killer. It's her ex who's killing every man that she's meeting.
Spoiler. What year is that movie?
1989.
Oh.
It's been done spoiled.
So I really did enjoy this movie, but I didn't like the ending. I kind of wish you mentioned Halloween. I wish the film would have ended at the drive-in with the killer being dispatched, and then as everyone's being taken care of, we see the body disappears. So we never know who the killer is, and maybe there's a part 2. But I think the fact that we end up going to the killer's lair, and then we find out it's a throuple, one of whom we see get killed, and we don't even know we never actually meet this person. Right. And then the reasoning for the killing is, even the lair, we're told that because it's some sort of like chapel, and there's a statue of Saint Valentine, and Jordana, Brewster's character, explains that she likes that Saint Valentine was beheaded.
Which happens to her.
Which ends up happening to her. I felt like that was all just doing way too much, and it felt like the last 10, 15 minutes dragged on for me.
Well, I think it could have been more intelligent with the ersatz motive for these killers by making it about relationships, maybe in boundary issues and how things can get out of control. Could there have been a reference to the ethical slut?
It definitely could have been more interesting.
Yes, but I don't mind it. I mean, it's much better than, was it the last Scream movie where it's referencing all of the old ones, and there's people, you know, we're basically getting everything explained about all these vintage artifacts from the past franchise. Like, I would prefer this any day of the week over anything like that.
Yeah.
But yes, it feels like it misses out a little bit on, when everything else seems so strong, that feels like a big disappointment.
Yeah, but overall, I did really enjoy it.
I did as well, and yeah.
What would you give Hard Eyes?
3.
I think it's good. I would give it 3 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.